Following the poor reception of Turok Evolution and the closing of Acclaim Studios, things were looking mighty bleak for this once great franchise. All that changed, however, in 2008, when Propaganda Games and Disney, yes, that Disney, decide to dust off the Son of Stone and give him a grand reintroduction.
Bring it.
Considering it's now 2023 and we still haven't seen a sequel, you can probably guess how well that went. Turok, as the name suggests, is an attempt to wipe the slate clean. It is in no way connected to past iterations and doesn't really adhere to much of its source. Turok is no longer a mantle, it's a guy's name, and the Lost Land is just a random planet that's being terraformed. From a narrative perspective, the dinosaurs and the tech bow are the only true carryovers. But hey, as much as I love this series, I can't imagine too many people remember the Campaigner, the Primogen, Tarkeen, Bruckner, or even the plot of any previous game. So, at least as far as I'm concerned, a reimagining is fine as long as the gameplay is good. Oh, and it's gotta have dinosaurs. Can't make a Turok without those. Also, it really should be noted that the story here isn't bad. It's just generic. So you see, Joseph Turok used to work for this bad dude named Kane, but after suffering a crisis of conscience, he's joined forces with the Colonial Marines. Whiskey Company. It turns out Kane is up to no good, and Turok is Whiskey Company's best chance at tracking him down. Naturally, his new Gears of War-esque comrades don't trust him, but as the game develops, what do you know, he becomes a key part of the team. To be perfectly honest, I actually find the character of Slade, voiced by Ron Perlman, to be rather endearing. When looking at the whole group, he's the most distrustful and bitter toward Turok at the beginning, and as predictable as the outcome is, their eventual friendship, however muted, feels well earned. Aside from being generic, the other big issue is the quality of the writing itself. All too often, Turok is sent on a mission with a small team, and on multiple occasions he returns alone. The way I see it, you get one of those. If you repeat a plot beat too many times, it just becomes a joke. So when this asshole character accuses him of being a double agent, it's really not that unreasonable of a conclusion to draw. And hey, a better writer might have used this thread to explore moral gray areas or build tension. Instead, he makes the accusation and then he's gunned down like 2 seconds later. Problem solved, I guess. Continuing with the trend set by Turok 3 and then later refined in Turok Evolution, this installment is as linear as shooters get. Levels feature narrow sections that push you forward, and larger, more open areas for bigger conflicts. Checkpoints are generally quite generous, although there are a few exceptions. As a result, these are the only times when the game flaunts with frustration. Otherwise, it's a perfectly enjoyable turn off your brain and make enemies go boom kind of game. There are certainly memorable set pieces strung throughout, including a few fun shootouts where you work with the entirety of Whiskey Company, this neat boss in the cave level, and of course the various Tyrannosaurus Rex encounters. But for the most part, large stretches of the game are harmlessly forgettable. As was the case with the plot, most of the gameplay conventions you associate with the Turok franchise are either massively stripped down or removed altogether. Instead of collecting life force tokens, keys, or assembling a ridiculous arsenal of guns, Turok 2008 is content to just adopt every vanilla feature standard to modern shooters. Turok can only hold 2 guns at a time, some of which can be dual-wielded and mixed and matched, and he's got recharging health. This is something that makes sense in a game like Halo, where you're wearing power armor, and I know Turok isn't the first human in gaming to gain this ability, but it still seems ridiculous. The guy can take a chain gun to the face, and as long as he hides behind a rock for 10 seconds, he's good to go. The only thing that makes him seem human at all is the way your screen shakes and blurs when you take damage. This is a reasonable visualization of having your body riddled with bullets, but of course, from the perspective of the player, it's a little annoying. As someone with very poor eyesight, the damage effect in Turok is very close to what I see when I take off my glasses, albeit with a bit more red. And that screen shake? Oh gosh. I do like how it makes it harder to aim when you're under fire, giving combat a more frantic and desperate feeling, but if you're prone to motion sickness, Turok is not going to be a fun experience. In terms of enemies, this game is pretty solid. The dinosaurs are obvious standouts, and this might be the first game in the series to employ them consistently throughout its entire campaign. Design-wise, they err closer to movie monsters than realistic depictions, but the way they move is very fluid and convincing. And I really appreciate the way blood covers their bodies as they take damage. Despite Disney's involvement, it's nice to see that Turok can still deliver on the gore. The variety of species you encounter also seems acceptable, with a few different types of raptors, various smaller dinosaurs, and herbivores, a derpy-looking Dilophosaurus, these crazy, probably made-up tree monsters, and of course the T-Rex, which never fails to leave an impression. Seriously, this thing is big, and while most of its encounters are very scripted, I can guarantee it'll boost your heart rate every time. Along with dinosaurs, you'll also fight some overgrown bugs, which provide a nice bit of late-game variety, and of course Kane's mercenaries. Unfortunately, these dudes are a bit of a downgrade from the Slegs and Dinosoids of Turok's past. I mean, just look at them. They're basically rent-a-cop soldiers. You've shot at these same guys in every first-person shooter ever made. And sure, they're perfectly fine to fight, but there's nothing remarkable here. The only possible exception is the heavily processed screams they make from behind their face masks.
Get down!
It's not like some mind-blowing thing, I just find it satisfying. And to be fair, the mercenaries, as generic as they are, do get elevated when they get into fights with the bugs or the dinosaurs. These kind of enemy-on-enemy interactions are a little too rare, but they're always fun, especially when there's a T-Rex involved. In terms of weaponry, Turok settles in a weird place between ambitious and mundane. The arsenal here is a lot smaller than past entries and far more generic. Hey, there's that word again. The shotgun, pistol, and SMG feel like they've been ripped straight from a Call of Duty game and have no real personality of their own. They're all fun to fire, and it's neat that most of the weapons remain relevant all the way to the final fight, but there's nothing wacky or over the top. This is a very grounded offering that's entertaining, but never super creative. The only weapons that really stand out are the tech bow, retaining the simple pleasure of exploding arrows, this remote sticky detonator, which would later be copied into Halo 4, and the chain gun. Not just because chain guns are inherently fun, but because Turok can set it up as an automated sentry turret, fight through a room, and then move it to a new location. Sometimes the game even offers the opportunity to juggle multiple chain guns at once, such as this section with flying insects. And I have to say, it's kinda brilliant. Too bad the game never really goes all in on a tower defense segment. Where are the energy totems when you need them? Anyway, before moving on, there's one other weapon that really needs highlighting, and that's the knife. Yes, the knife. I don't know what the intention was here, but somebody messed up. Bad. You see, if you stand anywhere close to an enemy, Turok can perform a third-person takedown. The animations are cool as hell, and this makes sense as a stealth tactic, but you can knife any enemy at any time, even if they're trying to eat you. And for some crazy reason, the animation gives Turok a prolonged period of invincibility. This is one of those rare situations where a weapon is so overpowered that you actually have to handicap yourself to enjoy the other parts of the game. I really like shooting at dinosaurs. Their rapid movements make for extremely fun targets, and their varied shapes help break up the monotony of aiming for mercenaries' heads. But when you can just knife them, one after another, with no consequence, why would you bother wasting the ammo? Seriously, look how ridiculous this is. And while it's entertaining for a bit, watching the same 3 or 4 animations back to back to back gets old fast. In terms of presentation, Turok 2008 is a very solid experience. Sound design is fantastic across the board, and the music is mostly in line with what you should expect from the series, with drums and more epic swells, which are never unwelcome but rarely rise into something truly memorable. Graphically, it holds up pretty well. The environments are a bit dull, alternating between uninspired futuristic military bunkers and generic jungles, but being the newest Turok game, it's easily the best looking of the bunch. And as I mentioned before, the dinosaurs look really good, and honestly, they might still be the gold standard. Overall, Turok 2008 is an enjoyable game that really should have led to something bigger. Considering how minor its issues are, the only real explanation I can come up with for its commercial failure is the lack of ambition. A lot of this game plays it safe, favoring tried and true genre staples over embracing the wackiness and over-the-top carnage of its predecessors. Turok 2008 does occasionally ramp up and tease a return to the series' former highs, but for the most part it seems content to be an average sci-fi military shooter. And if that's the worst thing you could say about a game, I guess that's pretty good.